As long as there's going to be technology, there's a bunch of smart people out there that's working on stuff all the time. You got to be careful because your industry can position you to ascend or descend, which means you have to pay attention to the latest trends. You have to be a quick adapter, but you also always have to locate yourself. You know, my wife and I love to travel. We literally have been all over the world. I want to encourage you to travel because there's nothing more educational than travel. But let me be clear. My favorite trip of all time was to Israel. My wife and I took a trip to Israel and we were there for 10 days and we had our own private tour. This young man was unbelievable. He took us all over Israel and we did everything that you can imagine in Israel. We did the spiritual experience and we went to Tel Aviv, went to the beach, had a great time and ate a bunch of food. But while I was in Jerusalem, I noticed something very fascinating. Everywhere we went, we walked. Now I wore some sandals because I figured if I'm going to be in Israel, I want to wear me some sandals so I can feel like I'm really an Israelite. I want to feel like I'm Jesus. I would have put on a robe, but that probably been a little too much. But I wore some sandals. And before long, I noticed something. Nobody told me. Everywhere we walked, we were either going up a hill or down a hill, up a mountain or down a mountain. We were either ascending or descending. Almost no part of Israel is flat. Now, if you really think about it, that's deep. That's incredible because it really sent a powerful message to me and my wife that in life, we're either ascending or descending. And it's not really realistic to think you're stagnant and standing still. I think the biggest fallacy I learned from my time in Israel that some of us are deceived by standing still, you're stagnant. Let me be clear. For 10 days, we walked everywhere. And in my sandals, I was either ascending or descending. And the overarching message when I got back to the United States is clear. As a human being, no matter where you live, you might not live in Israel, you've never been to Israel, it don't matter. You might be in a state like Oklahoma that's flat. But trust me, spiritually, you're either ascending or descending. The best part about ascending and descending, if you really think about it spiritually, it all can work in your favor. Because sometimes you need to go up a mountain, but sometimes you need to go down the mountain. You all been on the roller coaster. You know what? I hate going up the roller coaster. That's painful. They dramatize it. It's really, really slow. And you get to the top of the roller coaster, and all of a sudden I say to myself, why did I get on this roller coaster? And before you know it, and within seconds, you're over, and the roller coaster is done. And then you say to yourself, you know what, that was fun. That's fun. But while you inched up the mountain, it was painful because it's nice and slow. And then you crash, but that's a part of the fun. So why did I say this? Why do I mention this story? Because I want you to understand, in your life, you're going to either be ascending or descending. So don't freak out. Don't get scared. Don't be nervous, because there's lessons to be learned as we ascend, but there's also lessons to be learned as we descend. If you ever step next to a mountain, there's always a valley. So in order to climb a mountain, where do you start? In a valley. So you might think you're in a valley right now. Don't get discouraged. Don't get frustrated. You can't climb the mountain and start on the top of the mountain. In order to get to the top of the mountain, you have to start in the valley. When I played college basketball at the University of Minnesota, I sat on the bench. That was my valley. But by shooting 500 shots a day, by listening to my coaches, by getting in the weight room, every year I was voted most improved player, and I inched closer and closer up the mountain until I got to the pinnacle, which for me was to become an NBA ball player. So I'm thankful for the valley because I located myself in the valley. I knew I was in a valley, but I didn't look at the valley. I looked at the peak of the mountain, and I stayed focused on the peak of the mountain. Without a vision, people perish. Without a vision, people perish, which simply means if you don't have your eyes focused on your vision, there's a good chance you might perish. For companies, without a vision, companies perish. How many companies you know to go to work hard, and go nowhere? Why? Because they have no vision. They go to work and work hard, and you're either going to ascend or descend. Chances are, if you don't have a vision as an individual, if you don't have a vision as a company, it's going to be really, really hard to keep ascending without descending because life changes. Think about the world we live in. I mean, the internet was a big deal, right? That transformed my lifetime. But you go back before that, the fax machine was transformational. Credit cards were fast transformational, right? The cell phone was transformational. The automobile was transformational. The railroads were transformational. As long as you're alive, there's going to be some new technology that's going to be transformational. If you're not careful, this transformation can make your business obsolete. Right now, we live in an AI world. And I'm telling you, if you are a legal clerk, if you're a young attorney, if you're a ghostwriter, if you're anyone that involves writing, if you're a ghostwriter, AI will definitely impact your business. So no matter what industry you're in, don't you ever think you're safe, because technology is here to stay. There's always going to be a new invention and a new technology that's always right around the corner. Now, I don't know what's coming after AI. Guess what? But it's going to be something. AI might have ushered in a whole new world of robots, cloning. I mean, this next revolution might be scary. How do you know I'm not a robot right now talking to you? No, I'm real. And I want to be real with you. To understand, in Israel, I learned a valuable lesson. I'm telling you, in life, you're either ascending or descending, but you have to learn how to respond in any situation. I've been speaking for 25 years. That's over 2.5 decades. Through this 25-year journey, trust me, as a Hall of Fame motivational speaker, I've been ascending and descending the whole time. But by keeping my eyes on the vision, trust me, I always understand that there's another level to get to. What do I mean by that? When I first started speaking, man, there was no internet. When I first started speaking, we were just getting email. Now we have streaming videos. Now we have Zoom, beam themselves into a conference. Bottom line is, as long as there's going to be technology, there's a bunch of smart people out there that's working on stuff all the time. You got to be careful, because your industry can position you to ascend or descend, which means you have to pay attention to the latest trends. You have to be a quick adapter, but you also always have to locate yourself. In sports, I ascended and descended. As a Hall of Fame motivational speaker, I've ascended and descended. As a business advisor and thought leader, my job right now is to help my corporate clients ascend and not descend until they reach the pinnacle and reach the top. So that's my challenge for you. That's the lesson I learned in Israel. If you don't believe me, go and visit, go take a trip, and you walk around Israel. You don't have to wear sandals. But one thing I promise you, every now and then, I would sit on the bench and take a break. And I would look around and say, man, we just walked up another mountain. We just walked down another mountain. We just walked up another hill. We just walked down another hill. For 10 days straight, we ate great food. We saw some incredible spiritual landmarks. But the one thing I remember most, that God made it clear, in life, you are either ascending or descending. So clearly, we all want to ascend. So I want to encourage you to locate yourself and execute the fundamentals, master the fundamentals, and don't be afraid to change. Because I'm telling you, if you're afraid to change, you're going to position yourself not to ascend, but to descend. If you don't believe me, go to Israel and learn for yourself.